Well, thanks everybody for tuning into Brain Milk. I'm here with Lawrence Winnerman. You want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Yeah. I'm
Plug
Lawrence
anything you want?
Winnerman. I write at lwinner.substack.com. I also help kind of keep media running. And with my partner in crime, Dana Dubois, I co-host the Daily Whatever Show, which is currently on summer break.
Oh, how long are you guys on break for?
Probably till mid-September. So
Oh, really? Okay.
we're still going to do Fridays. We're still going to do Fucked Up Friday. If you want to come on for
Nice.
Fucked Up Friday over the summer dash, let me know.
Yeah, I'm down.
Um, we just decided that we've both got enough other irons in the fire that we needed to chill out for the summer and go do some other things. So
Nice. Yeah. Well, you got a lot going on. You're still doing Blue Ant Media, right? You're still working with them a lot.
I am. Yeah, I'm writing a whole series on like AI and the economy for Blue Amp right now. That's
Oh,
popping
nice.
off a little bit, because I think everyone is scared of AI and sort of coming to the realization at the same time of, oh shit, this might really take my job. And, or it has already taken my job or whatever. It's a big deal. The more I write about it, the more I'm like, there's like a mountain of things that we need to be talking about with AI. And everyone's kind of like, but the reflecting pool is full of algae.
Yeah. We are easily co-opted, like our attention to dumb, frivolous things that allows like much more insidious things in the background to happen with no media attention.
Yeah.
Kind of unfortunate. What do you think about AI? Do you think it's overblown a little bit? Do you think it's going to crash the economy? Is it a giant bubble that's going to put us in a depression? Like, do you think it's like a little bit of a Ponzi scheme where they're taking all this money for like unproven profits in the future? Like, I don't know. I hear a million
Yes,
things from the
Seth.
people that like are
All of
invested into
those.
it. All of the above. Yeah.
All of the above. Like here's the place. So I've done this thing that I'm also writing about where, I was in tech for 25 years, and about 2.5 years ago, my job kind of went away, and I was part of that crush of people that was applying for a bunch of stuff, and suddenly like, hey, this is really weird. Like I've applied for 650 jobs and no one has written back to me.
Right.
And that was kind of the first, I think, like bow wave of the shock of AI being introduced into tech. And so, I think of myself as somebody who was displaced by kind of an early impact of AI. And I've flipped it a little, and come here, cat. And I'm now using Claude. I've built a website, a peptide research website with Claude. And that was sort of my like come to Jesus moment of holy God, like I get it now, like how good it can be, like how
Hmm.
when used correctly and put on certain tasks, it's incredibly powerful. And also, why are we not talking about how big of an impact this is going to have across the entire economy? So I'm kind of everything all at once. Like, do I believe that AI is going to help us cure cancer? Yes, I do. Do I also believe that some kid in Topeka, Kansas on a laptop could design the next virus that is going to wipe out the human race? Also, yes. Yes, I do.
Right.
Do I think that the absolute dumbest and worst people in the entire world are in charge of rolling this out across the entire economy? Yeah, they're fucking morons, and they are not being honest about the magnitude of what it's going to do to the economy. And that is terrifying. Like, we should be talking about universal basic income and how communities can work together to kind of handle all the displaced workers. And what does it mean when, the water in your county runs dry because an AI data center moved in and sucked up millions of gallons of water
Like
that is no longer
600 million
available?
gallons or something.
Exactly. Like we are doing this all wrong. Like we are rolling out the most impactful technology in the history of the human race in exactly the dumbest way.
Yeah.
So I think
I love the,
everything that you're saying is true. Like, are we in a
right.
bubble? Absolutely. Is it a Ponzi scheme? Absolutely. If you take out the $700 billion plus that is being spent on AI data center construction right now, if you take that out of the economy, we are in a recession, right?
Yeah.
And
Right.
We talked to Justin Wolfers yesterday, who's this University of Michigan economist and incredibly, incredibly bright. And he's like, hey, you can't really cherry pick from the economy. Like the economy is the whole thing. Like it is actually adding billions of dollars into the economy right now. It's just that that's all that it is. If you take out like the seven biggest tech companies out of the S&P and the Dow and everything, we're not actually growing at the
Yeah,
moment. It is
right.
entirely data center construction.
Yeah, no, that's very true. And you get the circular economic bubbles of just the companies that sell chips, sell them to the AI companies, and then invest in the AI companies. They get profit. They start investing in companies to build the data centers. That profit goes back to more chips,
Buying
and
more
it is
chips.
like a
Exactly.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, it is absolutely like a bubblicious kind of thing where, you know, if the growth is real, like if there is a net value being added to the economy, then this is maybe smart. But if it's not, like if ultimately we're going to kind of get to the end and it's basically like I've got a glorified chat bot that can help me schedule my meetings better,
yeah, right.
then we're spending literally trillions of dollars on something that is, like just a souped up kind of clippy. Like it looks like you're
Yeah,
composing a
Clippy.
letter.
Yeah, right. Oh, you're a G. Yeah, but like way more positive because the AI just tells you whatever you want to hear, basically.
Right, exactly right. The AI, it's one of its basic commandments is must be useful. Do not get unplugged.
Right.
Let me always be telling you what you want to hear. Well, that's the best letter I've ever read, Dash.
Yeah, right.
Do you want to send that to everybody?
Yeah. Reply all to your entire email inbox.
Yeah.
I'm curious too about like the actual pricing of it because people are saying that like right now they're basically just doing it for free to get as many people hooked on it as possible. But when you actually
For
start
sure.
paying like a real price for it, it'll be like $200 a month or something like that. Especially if you want to do like unlimited searches, because obviously somebody eventually will have to pay for the energy usage, the like the water waste, like all the economic problems that come from like so much heat from these massive data centers that are like screwing with the weather of the towns that they're being built in and things like that. So once you actually
Right.
price in all this stuff and it's not just this fake make believe money because anyone that has money is just funneling it into the AI companies to get a little bit of the meme stock growth and like the profit off of it. Like all of a sudden, it's not going to be everybody using AI. It's going to be just the people whose companies pay for it, or the people that have $250 a month to spend on it. Right?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. So the interesting thing is that the industry is standardized on this concept of tokens, right? Which is that every AI thing that you do costs tokens.
Right.
Sorry, my ear pods are going to constantly fall out because these ones don't fit in my ears properly.
Yeah.
But like everything costs a token, right? And so if you ask a particularly complex question, it costs more tokens. And it is, for a Gen Xer, it's a perfect metaphor because it's like being at the video arcade and
Yeah. Right.
literally someone has given you the unlimited bucket of tokens. Like you can play Ms. Pac-Man until the fucking cows come home.
Yeah.
And you're asking these incredibly complex issues. They're basically just like, have more tokens. They're really cheap. And at some point, you're going to have to turn that into a real product that actually makes money, right? Because again, thanks to Milton Friedman, we know that the only things that businesses exist for in Friedmanism is to turn a profit for shareholders. So eventually, those things are going to have to actually be priced correctly, to your point. And we don't know what that price is going to be. And so there was a company recently that had kind of like turned off the little toggle that said, like, ask if I go over my usage, ask me if I want to
Yeah.
use more. And it was just at a moment where one of the big AI frontier labs had kind of tried to rationally price their tokens. And this number is from memory, so it could be wrong, but like the scale of it is not wrong. Like basically that one company got like a $500 million bid for the month because they didn't turn off that thing and they ran
Oh,
something
right.
really complex.
Yeah.
And then you can imagine being like the VP of technology at that company, right, or the CTO, and suddenly being like,
Yeah.
how do I explain that we have a $500
Right. Right.
million bill?
Well, there's a lot of coverage now of like the job like losses from AI people, and the companies are not actually profiting off the AI they're paying for, and so the
Right.
profit margins are actually starting to fall a little bit because the companies that like weren't hiring people for COVID spent the money on AI, and they can't exactly get they can't figure out what the return is. It's hard to actually figure out how to measure any kind of profit cost analysis. In which case, is there profit if you can't even measure it exactly? And so more and more companies are kind of jumping off the bandwagon a little bit, or at least not, just funneling money like they were in the last like year or two, like they might have been.
Yeah, and there's a really interesting statistic that uh so employers have been asked, like, okay, hey, you laid people off, did you really lay them off because AI has replaced their job, or did you lay them off in anticipation of
Right.
AI being good enough? And 60% said that they laid people off in anticipation of AI being good enough to replace them. Only 2% of the people who were laid off were actually laid off because AI had literally taken their job. And so
Right.
there's a bit of a expectations maybe aren't really matching up with reality kind of thing. And also, a lot of the companies that laid people off are the big tech companies. And part of what's happening is the money that's being saved by laying people off is actually the same money that's being used to build out AI data centers, right? And
Yeah.
so it's a little bit like, well, we got to kill these chickens so that we can plant some magic beans and hope that the magic beans, kind of come through in the end. We're we're not that far away, I think, from figuring out if the magic beans are really going to sprout. The way that I'm looking at things, I think within the next 18 months, we're really going to either see AI make some major strides and do some real displacement in the market, or we're going to discover that it's a little bit of a fantasy and markets are going to crash. And
Yeah. Right.
honestly, Dash, I'm not sure what I'm rooting for in this case.
Well, I hope the crash would happen while Republicans are in office, but I
All right.
wouldn't put it past them to do, like they're doing the thing where they're trying to federally mandate that no state can regulate AI companies whatsoever for 10 years. And
Right.
so it's a classic Republican move to just let these insane people run wild on these delusions of profit grandeur. And then as soon as Democrats take over and maybe start regulating, all of a sudden all these companies go bankrupt when they're not just getting a total free pass, and then it destroys the economy. And then Republicans, bitch the Democrats did it, even though it's
Right.
completely Donald Trump's
100%.
fault.
Or,
Yeah.
looking at history, it's going to be the economy will crash regardless. And then Democrats will get voted in, but then also Republicans will immediately be like, well, why
Yeah,
aren't we
right.
dealing with the debt?
Yeah.
And it'll be
Why
like,
didn't you fix the problems in 1 year? Why didn't you get the
right.
debt? The debt is so dumb too. I swear to God, when Democrats like take over next and Republicans start screaming about the debt, like I don't know. It's like I'm not a violent person, but you just want to. It's like we were talking about The Simpsons. You want to be like Homer and just start choking them, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
shut the fuck up about that. It's like, and we can segue a little bit to some of the current events of the week. But like the Iran war that Trump was boasting. Oh, I just spent $250 million on one night of bombing Iran, and it's like we have no money for school, but like right there. You could have just given 250 schools $1 million for we just blew up in the Middle East. And now we're like doing this deal where we have to give them reconstruction funds up to $300 billion or somehow facilitate those reconstruction funds, whether it's taxpayer dollars
Right.
or, Trump doing some BS sweetheart deals for like private companies to just start building shit in Iran.
Right.
So,
I just want to point out
everything's just so annoying
they were mad that the Obama JCPOA deal gave Iran $1.8 billion, right? Like they were
of their own
screaming
money.
about that.
Yeah.
Right. And now we are giving them, but it's not technically us. It's the Arab nations. And for every Republican out
Right.
there who's like, oh, it's not technically us, it's their Arab neighbors. It's like, who do you think is giving the
Yeah.
Arab countries the money to give to
Right.
Iran, you fool?
Yeah. We can segue to Iran on this because, first off, Saudi Arabia is going to start giving arch nemesis Iran billions of dollars for reconstruction and like more
Right.
missiles and stuff like that.
That
All these
seems
countries that
likely.
just got bombed by Iran, right? Like Iran is like bombing Qatar and UAE and all these countries like oil pipelines and infrastructure, saying, "Hey, don't fuck with us," all of a sudden it's like all the bad blood from the last, what, like 1,500 years of the Sunni Shia divide is going to be over. And Saudi Arabia is going to be this great benefactor making Iran great again. Like that makes no sense. So, but
Yeah,
speaking of the Iran deal, it's like we have this memo of understanding. So it's not a deal. They kicked the
right.
can down the road. So we have 60 days allegedly to like figure out some of the more nitty gritty things. And it's so ironic that Trump signed something that is basically teethless and meaningless, and none of the details are figured out. However, they have like 60 days to do this. So that kicks the can down. We're in June. So like July, August, right? So now at the end of August, heading into midterm season, they're going to have the, I guess, all of these deals worked out, or what? We start bombing Iran again and start the war up right before the midterms. Like, I was thinking, like, doesn't this just give Donald Trump, or sorry, Iran, extreme leverage over whatever these negotiations that haven't been figured out yet? Because we're approaching the most crunch time political part of the calendar, right as the midterms are getting into full swing.
Yeah, I think you just hit upon the absolute key element, Dash, which is that for all of Donald Trump's bluster that he's this master deal maker, I've literally
Yeah,
never seen anyone who is
yeah,
worse at deal making. Like,
right.
you just gave your enemy the power to fuck up your midterm elections. Are
Yeah,
you
right.
kidding me?
Yeah. Which is interesting. Do you think, I mean, like people are speculating like Donald Trump literally doesn't even care about the midterms. Like he is doing nothing on inflation. He's doing nothing to help Republicans. This insane deal that makes the Republican like hardliners and kind of like neolib, like war hawks furious, right? So like, do you think Donald Trump even cares? Do you think he prefers to have Democrats control both the houses of Congress just so he can blame them for all the problems?
I like in my most cynical moments, which is often now because we're living in
In
such
this
a
era?
cynical time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that Donald Trump is one absolutely feeling his mortality, right? Like the dude just turned 80. He's clearly dying in front of our
Oh
eyes.
yeah, he looked like death. He looked like on death's door at the G7 summit. He was like
Yeah.
wandering around. Emmanuel Macron had to direct him. He looked lost. His hair, like I saw some screenshots of photos of his hair that like he can barely even pretend to do the comb over anymore. You can see a lot
Yeah.
of bald head through it.
Right.
And like, yeah, you're right. I think like he is
His hairs were
very
wearing more
focused on,
makeup than like a room full of
yeah,
drag queens, Like there was more cover up on those hands than like the
right.
last season of RuPaul's Drag Race, for fuck's sake. Like
Yeah,
they,
the orange makeup. I've done so many jokes about this, about like how like, like I wish, and this is something like I write a lot of satire that's like kind of good ideas for people to really do, but it's like, a federal judge in Florida, like I've done a bunch of jokes about how Florida's judges are like, well, technically with the rules of the state legislature, what they passed, like Trump's not allowed near a school or in the state because of his makeup qualifies him legally as a drag queen, right?
right.
And it's like, why don't more people do that? It's like, why not? I just hate how Trump is such a like dumpster fire of moral and personal vices and terrible behavior and personal conduct. But then everybody just is like walking on eggshells, treating him with kid gloves. Like I wish more people in power would like read my satirical headlines of great ideas to troll him that would go extremely viral. And I don't know. I'm just always
I,
annoyed by that.
you know, I again have to commend you. Like I can't tell you the number of times that I read stuff that you put out and I'm like, is this one real?
Well, it's like almost like prophecy because a lot of them, it's like
It
I'm just
really
saying things that like
is.
everyone's thinking, but no one's really saying out loud. Like Republicans have like, especially the senators who are a little smarter and a little wiser and have more serious elections in some of these like real insane rural, like, middle of nowhere house districts and things like that. But like all the Republicans that know anything have to be so fed up with Trump. I mean, especially with this Iran war, like this is such an unmitigated humiliation for American foreign policy. Like, what is a bigger blunder than invading Iran, losing control of the strait, having to do the sweetheart? Like, what do we even get from the deal? What is a pro-America thing that Trump negotiated for America that screws over Iranians? Because I don't think anything in the deal screws over Iranians, really.
No, I mean, so far what we understand about it is So they're getting the $300 billion, and they are going to be able to impose not a toll, a service fee on
Yeah,
using
yeah,
the Strait of Hormuz.
yeah.
So
Right.
they're basically ticket master now, right? They're basically like,
Yeah,
oh, you wanna ship
right.
that oil to the a Taylor Swift concert? I'm sorry, that's gonna be $10 million for that ship.
Yeah.
That's our service fee. Yeah, like they are getting like they get to keep their ballistic missiles. Are you kidding me? Like,
Yeah, Trump even the other day was saying that like he had that talking point about how it's only fair for Iran to get nukes if Israel's got nukes. And then he mentioned like Saudi Arabia and the UAE, I think. I'm like a lot of the stuff that like Seth Abramson was talking about in the first term was like this back behind the scenes nuclear deal to basically have like help Russia make a ton of money building nuclear reactors throughout the Sunni Gulf states. And so a lot of like the corruption that Trump was personally involved in and Jared Kushner with the backroom deals was I don't know how realistic that was or how much time they put into it, but like theoretically that was kind of like the theory of the case, right? So
yeah,
like, so I don't know, but right there, I mean, like the whole deal, the whole reason we're in this war, Trump pivoted to stop them from having nukes, and all the Republicans are like, we need to sign this deal, ratify the treaty because it stops them from getting nukes. And then Trump yesterday it's fair for them to have nukes. It's like there's like the rationale has changed so much, it makes no sense whatsoever. And I think that, do you think this treaty will even be ratified by Congress? Like, I think Democrats might even be more willing to vote for it just to end the war and stop all the needless damage and carnage and like tit for tat bombings and things like that. But like, is Tom Cotton going to vote for this? Is Lindsey Graham? Will they suck it up and vote for it to not hurt Trump? But
I mean, look, I think Lindsey Graham is going to vote for it because Lindsey Graham will literally do anything for Trump at this point. I mean, did you not see the picture of Lindsey Graham standing between two super hot UFC fighters? Yeah,
I think that was AI though. I think that one was not
damn,
real.
was
But
it really?
yeah,
Oh,
I
all
don't
right.
know for a fact, but I thought I saw somebody fact check that it's like a photo of him with two guys in suits, and so they edited it to like make a shirtless beefcakes, I guess, from the
All right,
UFC.
all
But
right.
but
Well,
again, that's something that definitely felt real.
again, like, I oftentimes can't tell reading your headlines and your stories if it's real or not real. And that was a picture that absolutely looked entirely plausible to me.
Yeah, wouldn't have been surprising at all.
Right. It would not have surprised me for even a moment. Um, you know, like, do I think it's going to get through Congress? Yes, because the Republicans are still in charge and they have shown, a Susan Collins like ability to express dismay and then still vote for the worst thing that is humanly
Yeah,
possible. So, like, I think it's going to get through Congress by the hair of its chinny chin chin, right?
but it needs Democrat votes, right? Doesn't a treaty need 2/3 or
It,
something?
so I suspect that they are going to use some rules trickery to get it through on a bare majority vote. But I mean, nothing would surprise me anymore, right? Like, Fetterman is not a reliable, Senate vote for the Democrats. Like, I can imagine him, declaring that he's going to vote for it because whatever made up MAGA, quasi MAGA reason he's going to come up with. At this point, I suspect that the deal will get approved and we are going to spend the time between now and, now and when they actually negotiate the final terms of it, and through the midterms, discovering thing after thing after thing that is bad about it. Like, I personally at this point suspect that the $300 billion is going to be this giant grift along the way, right? Like we give 100 million to Saudi Arabia, and hey, they need to keep 30 billion for themselves, and Trump and Jared Kushner get a $2 billion kickback out of that. Like there's probably grift all the way through this entire thing, and I think we're gonna just find out
Yeah.
how
You almost
you
hope
know
there's a grift because America got nothing from this deal. You almost hope that Trump negotiated something and didn't just sign, like without even
right.
reading like this paper that, because he wanted to sign it on his birthday before the UFC fight. Talk about like desperation. Great
I
negotiating.
Right. Like, let everybody know that's incredibly important that you get it done on a certain day. And then
Right.
also, did nobody talk to him about the optics of signing a peace treaty? A peace treaty In the Palace of Versailles? Are you
Yeah,
kidding me?
yeah. Versailles, known for some famous defeat treaty signs.
Yeah, yeah. Like, well done. Like, could
Yeah.
you possibly do more of a cell phone? I don't think so.
Well, I don't know. I hope Democrats like to agree to this or get Democratic votes. I hope they play hardball or something like that. Like, I don't know. But again, it's like it's Donald Trump. So, I think that this treaty or this memo is going literally nowhere. I will not believe any of it until it's literally signed and ratified by Congress, I guess. But like there's some giant details that are not like all the hard details have not been hashed out. And so it's a memo of understanding that they have 60 days to renegotiate like what's going to happen to the nuclear dust. Can they have any nuclear like refining kind of programs going for civilian uses of power? What
Yeah,
happens with those fees? Like, what happens if Israel, right off the bat, is like part of the treaty is Israel stops bombing Lebanon, and Lebanon or Israel is currently sitting on 20% of Lebanese land. Right, Lebanon is a UN, included country. Israel just stole all of this territory. They're going to do tit for tat bombings with Hezbollah. Israel doesn't want this war to end. So I do not believe for a second that this memo of understanding has any basis in reality. It was literally just a photo op for his UFC fight birthday to just sign something because he's sick of the bad press and he wants the stock market to and the oil futures prices to rebound and to stop like pummeling his approval ratings on economic handling. So I don't buy it
dude,
at all, I guess.
I completely agree with you. I mean, I don't know how it is not more obvious to more people that he was gagging for a deal on his birthday, right? And so he would have literally signed anything. And all of the big details remain to be figured out. Iran is not particularly motivated to figure them out in a timely fashion. And yeah, your point about Israel
Yeah,
and Netanyahu is incredible. Like,
yeah,
Benjamin Netanyahu apparently is freaking the fuck out. And, by the way, fuck Benjamin Netanyahu
yeah,
and everything that he's done in Israel. Uh, like, I can't imagine that this is going to actually last the 60 days. Trump himself, while he was at the G7 in France, said basically broke the rules already because the MOU explicitly says that neither nation is supposed to threaten the other. And Trump, while he was at the G7, said, they're going to sign the deal in 60 days or we're going to start bombing again. It's like, bro, you literally just broke the
yeah,
agreement.
right. No, yeah, I do not think this agreement is worth the paper that it's printed on. Do you think like with Israel, do you think Israel has like Netanyahu's fucked Israel? Because now if there's really like a rift between Trump and Netanyahu, right? And now Trump is like basically completely capitulating to Iranian regional power against Israel. Do you think Israel or Netanyahu has kind of boxed Israel in now that like if the relationship really sours with Trump, like if all of a sudden Netanyahu starts bombing Lebanon again, is Trump going to flip out? And then in that case, what happens to Israel? Because they have been meddling in our politics against Democrats for like a decade now. They kind of fucked over Obama pretty big, and now they went all in on Donald Trump. So if they lose Trump as an ally, like what do they have left? They're already a global pariah. Everybody hates them for the obvious kind of ethnic cleansing going on in Gaza, just the leveling of all the Gazan communities and society, right? That's another thing that the memo doesn't do anything for, right? What
Right.
happens to the Palestinians in Gaza? Where are they going to go? Israel's clearly taking the land, leveling everything. They're going to rebuild their own stuff. They obviously want to kick the Palestinians out. They don't want the West Bank to have any political authority. They're against a two-state solution, despite decades of that being the only obvious possible solution to the issue. So
Yeah.
what happens? Like Egypt, Saudi Arabia, all these other countries aren't signing up to take all their Palestinian brothers and to help them because Gaza, especially with Hamas, has been so allied with Iran. So is Israel just like really fucked now? Are they flailing? Do you think the election will actually unelect Netanyahu and pick somebody else finally to lead a different direction?
Yeah. I don't know if you read, Julie Roginsky had an amazing piece yesterday on her perspective on Netanyahu. And it's incredibly insightful. and it basically calls out a piece of what you just said, which is, Netanyahu has been playing us for years, because what he figured
Hmm.
out was that for any Democrat, he could basically, like kick him in the nuts, and the Democrats would come back and be like, "Oh no, but we're really pro-Israel, and like, like we're sorry,"
Yeah.
which he essentially did with Obama, and Joe Biden, bless his heart, was the most pro-Israel president we've probably ever had. Like through his long Senate career, and everything that he's ever done has proved that he is an ally of Israel. And Netanyahu basically treated him like a giant piece of shit.
Yeah.
And, you know, uh, and so this was Netanyahu's strategy for years, for literally decades, has been, you know, piss on the Democrats and help get them out of power, and then do anything to the Republicans and the Christian nationalists to make them, believe that they're number one. And what he's dealing with in Trump now is a guy who has never met an ally that he hasn't stabbed in the back, right? Like he and
Yeah.
friends with anyone that he hasn't betrayed. And
Right.
so, like, it's Netanyahu's kind of karma coming home to roost, basically, that Donald Trump is screwing him over. And I think you're exactly right. Like, Netanyahu has put Israel and the people of Israel, like, I think people are mature enough to know, right? Like, just as many Americans do not support Trump and are not guilty of Trump's policies, there are many Israeli Jews who are not guilty of Netanyahu's policies. Um, it breaks the brain, though, to the way in which Netanyahu has pivoted Israel into a corner and committed these atrocities, and now made Israel a global pariah state because of Netanyahu's own policies. And now it looks like, yes, Netanyahu might finally be facing the, well, not fully karmic end of what he deserves from all of his manipulation and wheedling over these years. But, he deserves to no longer be elected. He deserves to no longer be the prime minister of
Right.
Israel. And there aren't going to be any good moves left for Israel after that, because Netanyahu has absolutely painted the country into a corner. And none of that is in any way an apology for Netanyahu or an endorsement of him staying in power. Netanyahu should be dragged to The Hague and strung up by his thumbs and tried for war crimes and crimes against humanity
Right.
until he expires from an old age of, being publicly shamed for the rest of his human life, right? Um, but but Israel is screwed, with or without Netanyahu, absolutely and totally screwed. And and you know, America is screwed as well, because we have been this ostensible ally to a nation that has dragged us. Netanyahu figured out Trump completely. He conned him into doing this Iran war thing,
Yeah.
and and we are coming out of it at least $300 billion more in debt, and far more than that when you add up the cost of the war, in addition to what we're
Yeah.
having
It's
to,
like
to do
another
away with.
50 to $100 billion. We lost like a
For
third to
sure.
half of our missile supplies. Uh,
Absolutely.
we lost
Absolutely.
all the kind of soft power of people just assuming the U.S. military was unstoppable and could keep Iran from taking control of the strait. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And right, exactly. Like, now we've got a world where Iran knows that it basically does control the Strait of Hormuz. And that is not a thing that is going to change
Yeah.
without World War III happening, basically. And so we're worse off in every conceivable way. It is, you said something earlier about, like, the biggest diplomacy blunder. Like, it's going to be studied. Up to this point, we had the Iraq War as, like, one of the biggest military strategic blunders of all
Right.
time, and thank you, Donald Trump. George W. Bush, now not the worst at something else.
Yeah.
The Iran War
Yeah.
is going to supersede the Iraq War as the biggest military blunder of all time.
Yeah, and like I think what's really funny to me is how apparently JD Vance is now the point man to sell this deal. Like it's not Trump doing anything. Like he of course got the big photo op of signing in Versailles the treaty, but it's JD Vance who's like he was going on tour already for the book he wrote about changing religion 3 times,
Right.
for political purposes. So
Right.
now like his book tour is obviously being kind of like segued into an apology tour for like the Iran war and gin up support for this this dumb treaty that, again, I would bet, a good amount of money that will ultimately result in nothing. But what do you make of JD Vance becoming the point person? Because he was obviously leaking to the media about how he was against the war from the start, thought it wouldn't
Right.
be as easy as Israel and Netanyahu were saying. And so now it's like he's in charge of selling this piece of garbage to the American people and the world, really.
I think they're punishing him, right? Like
Yeah.
I think there's that weird machination going on in the back room that, like
Yeah.
from shows like House of Cards and whatnot, we're all like, maybe it works like that. I think it's absolutely working like that in the Trump administration, where JD Vance is like, ooh, I'm gonna be president. Like he's gonna die any day now, right? Or like the
Yeah.
Democrats are gonna impeach him and I'm gonna be president. I'm gonna set myself up to look good. I'm gonna set myself up to be like, the hero. And I think there are people in the Trump administration who are like, or are you?
Yeah. Right.
Well, how about you go be the dude that actually tries to sell the shitty peace deal that we've come up
Yeah.
with?
Well,
Like
it's
it's
going to be
going to be
so funny.
your name signed to it.
Yeah. But in 60 days, when this deal falls apart and we're gonna have to like start bombing again, like it's gonna be so embarrassing that JD Vance is like out here doing all of this press for it. And it's obviously gonna go nowhere. But it's funny that Trump keeps doing these like it was reported that he keeps having like at meetings or dinners with different people while Marco Rubio and JD Vance are right there. He has people like, hey, what do you think of these two? And he's doing these like informal polls about like who should be the next Republican nominee for president. Should it be JD Vance or Marco Rubio? And it's funny too that Marco Rubio is Secretary of State, but where is he? Why is he not selling this deal?
Seriously.
He hasn't been involved at all. It like more of the American negotiations have apparently been Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner going around the background with no real official roles, making who knows what deals that enrich themselves personally. And so like I keep doing headlines about this, but like how is what Jared Kushner is doing not straight up textbook treason, right? He doesn't have a real job. He's not in the State Department. He's doing these deals and negotiations with all,
Yeah.
for sure he's not leaving a trail of texts and emails. He's doing like in-person, like under the table, deals to enrich himself. And he's obviously using all those like Telegram apps that disappear all your messages. Like, how is this not straight up treason that he should be in prison for life for?
Dash, here's our $1 million idea. You and I should write the screenplay of like Jared and Steve's excellent adventure, which is basically them on like a ketamine and cocaine bender rolling through the Middle East, negotiating peace deals.
Yeah. Well, with
And
both of them, I don't think they do drugs. I think they're just chopping up like $100 bills and snorting that, I think.
right. I mean, I would for comedic purposes, I would like to believe that they're like both wasted out of their minds, right? And they're just like, what can we get away with next, man?
Yeah, right. Well, especially with like Israel, because like Jared Kushner's dad is like best friends with Jared Kushner. Apparently, Jared Kushner like grew up like staying in Netanyahu's house or something like
For
that. Like
sure.
very, very close relationship. So
And
for a
still
fact, Jared
somehow
Kushner's
he's
not
also
at.
very close with MBS in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah,
Like I there obviously there's like an Airbnb or something, right? A really fancy Airbnb that they all crash at together, and they get there and they like, they change into their
yes, the
swimsuits or
Rothschilds'
something.
yacht apparently.
Right, right, right. It's MBS and Netanyahu, and they're just like, hey, no, this guy.
Right.
Yeah, I love you, man. I mean, I say shit about you all the time, but come on. Right. Like they're clearly in cahoots, right? And figuring out, yeah, Blues and Pop is just put a bunch of dollar signs. Exactly. They're basically just
Yeah.
like, I made $3 billion off of that one. How much did you make? Oh, 5 billion. How did you work that? They're in there basically like talking the grift with each other. And what about all the people that got another drink.
Yeah, exactly. No, totally, totally right about that. Speaking of Jared Kushner, though, what do you make of his and Ivanka's Albanian private resort island that has 10,000 rooms and villas that I suggest is inherently only focused on money laundering? Because a protected island in Albania with 10,000 rooms seems to me, I've been calling it trademark Trumpian hubris, where like every deal ever, they make it way too big, way too expensive and gaudy, and then it's unprofitable and it will fail
Right.
unless it's just straight up money laundering. And Adrian Polko I talked to recently, he was basically saying like the only purpose in all of history for overpriced luxury real estate is money laundering, right? So it's like, I'm sure these books are going to be
Hence
filled with
Trump's
like
entire
cash deals.
yeah,
What?
yeah. And Trump's entire empire, right, is overpriced, gaudy real estate that basically
Yeah.
serves as money laundering. You
Yeah,
know,
all the buildings in Manhattan he bought for way too much, like the Plaza that went out of business, all these all of the like the giant casinos that like by the time everything was built and constructed, it would have to make $1 million of pure profit every day to stay functional. And of course they
yep.
all went bankrupt.
Yeah, I don't think it's fair. Ivanka apparently discovered that island, you know? I mean, you can look at Google Maps and see that clearly it's the only island on the
Yeah.
coast of Albania, but she discovered it, man. And everyone knows when a white person discovers an island, get to name it and they get to keep it and they get to put a flag there and they can build whatever they want. Damn the indigenous people to hell. You never mind what they want. Yeah, I'm just happy to see that the people of Albania were like, no, honestly,
Yeah.
no. Like, we are going to protest. You know what? We're going to do a no kings every fucking day until we pull down the prime
Right.
minister.
No
Uh,
pedophiles.
right. Seriously, no pedophiles, no pedophiles, like
Yeah.
Epstein Isle part two. No. Uh,
Yeah. Also, the underground bunker aspect of the island, that it was like a Cold War, like
yeah,
bunker island filled with, I guess, miles of an underground. Like if like Epstein was using the Rothschilds' money, like he was like their investment banker, right? Using a lot of Rothschilds' money to enrich himself to get the whole sex trafficking ring going, right?
right.
And so now, like with that creepy island, like this island's even creepier. It's like, is the whole thing just like let's do that Trumpian hubris and make the sex trafficking pedophile ring just go big and have all this underground tunnels to like hide children and stuff? Like everything
Honestly,
about this is suspicious, fishy. And again, it's like all these people involved with the like related to the Epstein network. It's like there is no benefit of the doubt that they get that they are not trying to turn this straight up into Epstein Island #2, bigger and better than ever before, right?
for sure. I've watched Shutter Island and enough horror movies to know that, like, a 10,000 room complex with underground bunkers and tunnels. Are you kidding me? That is literally a horror movie waiting to be made. You know,
Right.
like suddenly Albania's homeless children population has gone down to zero because they've all been sold to the island,
Right.
like it's yeah, the whole thing is as fishy as it could possibly be. And I
Yeah.
even still do not understand how American media, I mean, I know American corporate media, like that's how it's happening, but really, like we aren't like, it's so blatantly obvious to everybody that this is a crime happening in front of our faces in like 19 different ways. And, and the American media is still somehow like credulously reporting on it. Like, well, it seems like the deal for Ivanka's Island, like, come on,
Yeah.
guys, do better,
Also,
be
like
better.
all the reporting is constantly with like an unnamed source from the Trump administration that like everyone is like, yeah, it's obviously Jared Kushner. And he did
Right.
that in the first term, just constantly bad mouthing everybody else and bitching to the media and doing, selective leaks to make himself look smart and intelligent. But it's like Axios right now with that, what is his name? Barack Ravid or whatever, that like he's been saying for like a month or two straight, like every single day, the deal's very close. The deal's very close. And so like our media is just straight up like whitewashing and just laundering these like self-enriching plans and self-aggrandizing leaks that have no bearing apparently on actual reality, right? Like
Right.
Axios has been reporting forever about these deals, and it's everything is like it's that access journalism where they have just completely sold out all their values because they don't want to stop being invited to Republican political events and parties. They don't want to get kicked out of the private text chains that I'm sure they're all in with all these
Oh,
Trump
for
people.
sure.
It's like a circular firing squad where they're, Trump, that's like literally his entire business leadership kind of style and always has been, even to The Apprentice, where he just pits everybody against everybody else. And it's almost like who's the last man standing? And I'll go with that idea, right?
I, the corruption, like, I keep trying to think about how we are going to get out of this, like how like assume the Democrats take the House and the Senate, right? And assume that they can impeach Trump. Like there's so much more that we still have to do to like root out the
Yeah.
unbelievable amount of corruption that currently exists, and like the obvious fact that all of these giant corporations, when presented with the choice of do you want to do the right thing and help American democracy, or do you want to make a lot of money and be absolutely evil? They all chose, let's be evil.
Right. All of them. Yeah, yeah. It's
Like
insane. It's
every single one of them chose, I think I'll be evil and make more money. So, you know, have you heard of the Carrington event of 1859?
I don't think so.
This sounds crazy and out of left field. So in 1859, September, I think, of 1859, there was this massive solar flare. This is real. This is not science fiction. There's a massive, massive solar flare, and it hit the Earth spot on, like directly, just direct hit on the Earth. And for 3 days, it caused auroras. Like apparently, like we see auroras, and it's like, oh, pretty, it's like pink and green, and maybe
Hmm.
goes to Minnesota. It was every color of the rainbow down to the equator. And it was so strong that it was just at the beginning of telegraphs, right? Every telegraph line shorted out essentially. Like you could
Right.
apparently like send a free telegraph on any line because they were all on constantly. They think, and it blew out every transformer that existed in the world at the time, which was like seven. If it happened again,
Oh yeah,
it
we'd be
would
fucked.
be a global EMP event. It
Yeah.
would literally blow out every electric transformer on the planet. And I'm kind of rooting for that, Dash. That's how I'm hoping we get out of this one. Like, I think we need to turn off the internet for like 5 years, and we need to talk to each other about the kinds of people that we want to be before we ever try turning it back on again. And I don't think we're actually going to do that. I think we need the sun to aim a solar flare at the planet and basically be like, you bitches need to calm down.
Yeah. You know what? I think we need a national or even international like internet siesta every day. Like the internet should turn off at certain
For
parts of the
real.
day. I feel like, you know what I mean? Like I think that would maybe be a good idea. I like the some people have the ideas of having like 90s themed parties where no phones, everybody like you just sit around and talk to each other, and if you get bored for a second, you can't pull out your phone cuz it's like locked up in a safe or in a bowl somewhere by
For
the door,
sure.
right? And like, I feel like it's like the touch grass kind of thing. More people need to touch grass. And, we can talk about like kind of cultural stuff for a minute too, but just, it's like, and increasingly the internet is filled with people who are just, people with way too much time on their hands. And so, like, increasingly culture on the internet is separate, different, and radicalizing compared to real life, right? Like, so many people are so angry about everything. We know way too many people's opinions. We are like, women are going crazy scrolling and being depressed that they don't have the 666 guy who's rich, 6 feet tall. So like, Gen
Right.
Z is not dating normally because they're so hardcore into social media and TikTok, and all of our brains are getting deranged, and we're all delusional, and none of this is kind of real. And you get these people that like make all their money from inflaming tensions and political
Yeah.
divides online. It's like somebody, whether it's the sun with a solar flare or maybe some kind of like a movement for a siesta, like we need to turn off the internet at some point during the
Right.
day, during the
Right.
month.
Yeah.
you know,
Like,
I guess I'm
exactly.
team solar flare too.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. Every day at 6 p.m., someone goes and takes the giant switch and goes, tunk, right? And everything goes,
Yeah. Go
I'm
talk
all
to your kids for an hour.
right. For the love of God, go
Yeah.
go knock on grandma's door and see if she's okay. Like,
Yeah, right. Right.
do something. Honestly, man, it's we're in a crazy place, and I don't know what we do to get out of it. I'm team solar flare. That's all I
Yeah.
can tell you. Or I
What
don't
what's
know.
your daily doom scrolling like? Do you take breaks? Are you good at taking breaks for yourself? Do you think you spend too much time online? Do you spend too much time in the doom and gloom? Do you have any good like personal habits of kind of getting
No.
offline for a little bit? No.
I'm definitely chronically online. Like I'm online way too much. But I'm mostly working on projects that I want to work on, and so I'm not really doom scrolling. The thing that you said about internet culture, like it has crossed the point now where like I would like to think this isn't because I'm 56 years old. I don't want to think of myself as an old person who can't keep up. But so much of like young internet culture is like, oh no, well, that's a TikTok dance that was based on a meme from 5 years ago where kid flipped off his parents.
Yeah.
But that was actually from, like so much of it is like Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra. And I'm just like, you know what? I don't know what you're saying. Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know those words, but somehow you just
Yeah. I know some of
said
those
like,
syllables.
right, like I guess alpha max mog means fuck me because I'm a beta cuck or something. Like you know what? I don't even know.
Yeah. Well, it becomes like a full-time job for people because, the average person now is like 7, 8 hours a day scrolling. And so
Right,
it literally is a full-time job or, it becomes its own language and culture that, again, if you're not one of those people scrolling all day, you're just like,
right,
what the fuck did that 17-year-old say to me?
right.
Like,
I thought you were going to say
and why
seven or
is she
eight
not
years
doing her
old.
job that I pay her to do? Because like, what is that excuse?
Right. I thought you were going to say 7 or 8 years old. And honestly, like I think half of the aggression on the internet is like tween boys, basically, who are living out the most vile impulses and perceptions. I remember being a tween boy. Like there's some crazy fucked up shit that you believe before and
Right.
as you're going through puberty. Like those people should not have keyboards and be able to express opinions on the internet. You know,
Yeah, I just like that quote. I think about that a lot. It's just we know too much about each other. We know too many people's opinions about too many things. And it's
right,
like, I think it's like and it's obviously like a historical precedent, right? Like when the printing press came out and all of a sudden you didn't need, it's like right now, like prior to the internet, you had to like get published by a bunch of gatekeepers, there's editors, you
right,
couldn't just
right,
print anything in the newspaper. But like the printing press was a similar kind of like democratization of knowledge. And again, knowing too many people's opinions because all of a sudden you didn't need to buy a giant printing press and spend hours arranging each letter. The printing press allowed you to just all of a sudden make books really easy and cheap. So then
right.
anybody could write books and pamphlets and publish them out. So, I mean, but like again, in the 1500s, it kind of made humans go crazy. We had the Catholic Protestant divide that, engulfed all of Europe with like 200 years straight of just constant warring and things like that. So hopefully we don't have as
Nothing bad came
calamitous
out of that.
reality. Right. Yeah. Yeah. But like, I do think it's like the algorithm. It's like, and increasingly these things are not even rated by people. There's no gatekeepers. So I've
Right,
been kind of playing with the idea of like, maybe gatekeeping is a little good.
right.
And, maybe we do need more veto points of whose opinions get mass produced and distributed to the entire world.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think about this a lot actually, which is, you know, a lot of people have complained for a long time that our democratic system is kind of slow, right? That it's got a lot of friction points in it. And I think we're at a moment now where we're sort of saying like, no, actually, you know what? The friction is kind of good. We
Yeah, it
we we
stopped Trump
sort
from
of
being a
need people
dictator.
to debate against each other and try to convince each other because when Donald Trump just gets a fucking boner for whatever crazy idea that he's got and signs it in Sharpie and suddenly declares it to be true, actually not working out so well for us.
Yeah. And that's actually like a comforting thing post Trump is that Congress has passed almost no laws. Like nothing is encoded in law that will need another
Right,
law that you have to get, maybe Republican votes to not filibuster. Like
right.
almost everything Trump has done can be undone very quickly by the next president. And I hope that Democratic president, comes into office on day one with like 1,000 ready to go executive orders to undo all
Oh,
the insane shit Trump has done.
for sure, for sure. Are you team jackhammer the ballroom into dust, or are you one of the people who thinks that's too much? I'm personally on
You
team
know,
jackhammer the ballroom.
I don't have a strong opinion. Right. Again, it's like believe it when you see it. Is that ballroom ever going to be built? It's like
Right,
still just flat land right now. So I think it's a little frivolous to just jackhammer it and then like spend another, you got to spend what, $1 billion to, get rid of it. And then another $1 billion to rebuild the East Wing the way it was.
right,
Like I am not strong. Like, I think I have stronger opinions on that arch. Like if he builds that 250-foot tall arch is now like overshadowing all of
Oh, for
DC or
sure.
whatever,
Yeah.
and it's like right on. I think he wants it like right on the riverway or whatever. That's like close to what is it,
Arlington.
the Arlington grave thing. Like that is a giant eyesore, and I am totally if it's 250 feet tall, it's obviously going to have Trump's name on it or likeness somewhere.
Oh,
I'm sure he's
yeah,
going to
for
put that. So
sure.
like I am like totally team destroy that. Maybe even like raise money for Democrats by selling bricks, like emblazing like I don't know, some anti-Trump message or photo of him with like his
Yeah.
just make a meme out of it. But
I'm on team Jackhammer the Ballroom. Like I want to knock it down, and then the people who went and saged Madison Square Garden before, after Trump was there
yeah,
on the night that they lost.
right,
I want those people to go to the White House grounds and sage that entire area. And like every shaman and priest and rabbi and
yeah,
imam and whoever needs to come in. And it's like, hey, whatever your religion uses to bless land and cast out demons, please do that here.
yeah. Send us all your holy water, do your your tribal dances, and
Right.
we'll say we all religions accepted. Yeah. What
Right.
do you make of
What?
the reflecting pool nonsense? And that's
I
been
mean,
pretty crazy this week.
could there be a better metaphor for the entire Trump
Yeah,
presidency?
a
Like,
literal
just
swamp.
he's turned it into a literal swamp.
Yeah. And I like
And I
the
love
paint is
that
coming
now.
off now. Did you
The,
see
the,
that? The videos of the paint
yes,
pumping
the
up?
paint is peeling up and floating to the surface. So it,
Yeah.
it literally looks like a fucking like swamp heap, basically,
Right.
It's fucking magic. That's like just like him to spend money on a project that was done in a half-assed and improper manner that literally didn't even last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 fucking weeks. Are you kidding me?
And I like how low key he changed the paint color because everyone was shitting on like the bright blue color that is not really reflective. You're right.
Right.
It's a reflecting pool, but he wants it to be like a beautiful like blue pool like at a
Swimming
resort
pool.
or something like that. Yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
everything about it was dumb. But I didn't fact check the numbers on this, but someone was saying that like because the reflecting pool has like I don't know, 1.7 million gallons of water or something like that, that like you would have to have 2,000 gallons of hydrogen peroxide to get the parts per million to kill the algae. And like we saw the photos and videos of like, I don't know, a dozen people dumping little bottles one at a
Oh,
time.
I know.
So it's like,
Seriously, they were out there like, okay, we've got
yeah, there
we've
you
got
go.
three more of these, and then we're good to go. It's like,
Right,
you
right.
assholes. Like, I grew up in South Florida, like with swimming pools. I know that that is not enough. That is not enough hydrogen peroxide or whatever you're using to make that water not green. Come on.
Yeah. I love the swamp thing. I was playing with the idea of maybe making like a headline about like somebody bringing alligators to throw in. It's like literally a swamp filled with algae.
I
But
mean,
it's like how long until like it's filled with dead birds or something or like mice that go around? Like, is it going to fill
for
up with
sure.
dead animals because of the poison, the like the bleach or hydrogen peroxide or whatever, or all the
Right.
algae?
I mean, you should, like I can easily imagine it now. Like, oh, they're going to bring in a bunch of carp to, which are natural algae eaters to swim in the. Oh, but they died because there was too much hydrogen peroxide, so all these rats came in. Oh, but
Yeah. I had
but
a
the
joke.
rats died.
Right. I had a joke earlier this morning that, and I'm again prophetic. I think that somebody will probably do this, but that it was something to the effect of like a Maha influencer is now bottling bottles of it and selling it for its like health related qualities because of the water's algae, the hydrogen peroxide, and because Trump did it, it'll cure COVID and Ebola, and it'll fix your
Perfect.
mitochondria health.
Right. That's actually the stuff that you're supposed to inject to cure COVID, right?
Yeah, straight in. Yeah, put it up your butt, like Trump said with bleach or whatever.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, you
Yeah.
inject it up your butt and then shine a flashlight up there, and the UV light will whatever.
Yeah, yeah. You got to UV light the algae water first, and then it's very that unlocks its restorative powers.
Exactly.
What I want to ask, what's your favorite breaking scandal right now? So I have three right now that are kind of breaking in the last day or two, and I just want to know which one you like best. Epstein, like the Epstein stuff with the Situation Room, where apparently it looks like Dan Bongino recorded in the Situation Room
Yeah,
discussions
that
about which
that's mine.
I love
When you
because
said this, that was literally the first thing that popped into
the
my
first
mind
one that came, yeah,
because I want. So you might be too young for this. Do you remember in the like 80s, 90s, there was a song meeting in the ladies' room,
no,
the back
I don't remember
room.
that, but
Here's my prediction, Dash. Randy Rainbow is going to redo that
yeah,
song, meeting in the sitch room.
yeah,
And
right,
that's my prediction here for all your viewers. Randy Rainbow is going to sing about the meeting in the Situation Room. And come on, could anything be absolutely done? Can you just imagine the Situation Room and they've like got the Epstein files up on all the big screens at the far end of the room, and they're expecting it to be top secret and perfectly, not recorded and whatever. And yeah, and they're like three people in there with their cell phones turned on recording the entire thing, apparently.
yeah. I'm looking forward to the book though that Jonathan Swan and Maggie Haberman are writing, and
Sure,
I
sure.
don't want to buy it and give them money, and I hate the fact that once again Maggie Haberman stockpiling damning reports, and like I have this weird thing where it's like the New York Times pays her to give them breaking news, right? To do reporting for them. Like, why do
Don't
all of
they?
these media companies like allow their writers to just hoard these extremely salacious stuff? And like, I understand that it takes time to get some of these stories to like get everyone over many months to start backstabbing each other, learn something from one person, get the next person's reaction. You can play that game, but like the fact that they hoard it all for a personal private book, and then, it would have been nice to know that a year ago or whatever when the Situation Room meetings are happening, right? But on the other hand, I am looking forward to, they saved it again for the midterms to maximize their book sales. And I'm sure they're going to be leaking little details like on a, bi-weekly process or something, like every 2 or 3 weeks, a little new detail to get up enthusiasm and notoriety for their books. But
Yeah.
do you think that's going to kind of blow up again, the Epstein stuff?
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. I'm just thinking, I'm sitting here thinking that I can't wait until we have the, Nuremberg trials, the American Nuremberg trials that put
The
Trump and
Epstein
everyone in the
files?
administration, yeah, on trial. And I can't wait until we pull Maggie Haberman in front of that committee as well. And we're like, oh no, girl, you too. Like, you thought you were reporting on it and sitting on these things that were actually incredibly important. No, no, you also committed crimes. we're we're holding you
Yeah.
accountable as well.
Right. It's like it's certainly a moral crime, that they hold on to this
For
forever.
sure.
And y- I don't know. Again, it's like if I was the editor of the New York Times, I'd be like, I pay you to give me that when you get it. Like a year ago,
Right.
if you had it, it would have been nice to publish for my newspaper, right? Like,
Right.
I don't
It
know.
could have boosted newspaper sales, but I guess you
Yeah.
wanted a book out of it. Okay.
But that's ongoing or breaking scandal number one. Scandal number
All
two.
right.
Castratel's $1 million slush fund for FBI loyalists that apparently Jamie Raskin is now demanding all records with payments where he was paying FBI loyalists like up to like $8,000 extra a month, kind of off the books with little bonuses. So was he hush money for having them commit crimes for him? Was it just giving, money to loyalists to not report that, how often he's coming to work drunk? We can speculate on what the money was for, but that's
I
a fun one.
I think it's I think it's all of the above and also a party at which he got up on a table and took a stack of money and did this thing
Yeah, you're probably right. It probably was that.
while
Yeah.
drinking the
Yeah.
the reserve bourbon, the
Yeah.
Cash
Right
Patel
after a keg
reserve
stand.
bourbon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he
Uh,
absolutely
yeah.
that was part of what that was the original purpose of the money. And then he realized, oh no, like you can keep it as long as you don't tell anyone that I show up at like 3 p.m. drunk every day. Yeah.
Yeah. I have this imagination of what it's like when he gets busted. Like, when Jamie Raskin sent the letter, it was, like when he finally gets fired, is Cash Patel like even going to put up a fight? Or is he going to be like, yeah, that tracks. I'm on like my fifth strike. Like, yeah, I'm out. I got my stuff already packed. Like, I know I was on borrowed time like 10 months ago or something.
Yeah, I figure he's already got it mapped out, right? Like he's gonna be okay. Well, I'm gonna go to prison, but it's gonna be one of the nicer federal prisons. But I'll have some kind of like conversion to Christianity, like
Yeah.
extreme Christian. I'll get forgiven by Jesus, and then I'll have a comeback story as how getting caught and going to prison was the thing that saved me, and whatever. Like it's gonna be
Yeah.
one of those deals.
Well, I feel like Donald Trump is going to pardon everybody on his way out. I'm sure he's going to pardon himself, and we can let that
Oh,
go to
for
the
sure.
Supreme Court to decide can presidents pardon themselves, and just have like free range to commit any crime. What like how overwhelming does the pardon power have? Like that's really a constitutional amendment that we are overdue for. The president being able to pardon anybody in ways that allow like any criminals to help him do any crimes to stay in power and straight up subvert and ruin our democracy. Like, we need a constitutional amendment. There needs to be a process behind pardons. Trump is like straight up selling pardons. And again, it's like any crime is permissible. If like, pardon that, kill him, pardon you, kill all the members of the Congress who are Democrats, kill them all, pardon, right? Like, a massive conflicts of interest that are allowed through, I guess, completely free range pardon power.
I feel like for most of my life, we've had this kind of belief of like, well, we're done. We amended the Constitution 27 times or whatever, and we're good. Like it's good the way that it is. It doesn't really need more. And I feel like the Trump years, if nothing else, have showed us like, oh no, there's like 30 more amendments that we need in that fucker. Like it is not
Right.
done. There's some big old loopholes that we did not catch or think about. We need to amend that entire thing from top to bottom.
Yeah. And like the Supreme Court is another big one that needs change. But from what I understand, it's like it's not actually in the Constitution to like, we've changed the number of
It's not.
judges or tried to before. So Congress killed
Oh no, we
FDR's
have changed them
chance.
many times.
Right.
Yeah, the way
Because
the
I think it started
Constitution
off
is,
six, right? Didn't like from the country's founding, wasn't it an even number of judges? And then they realized, oh, we got to have an odd number.
I think it was
I could be wrong
actually
about that.
even for the first Washington administration, only because they like kind of hadn't gotten all the machinery up and running.
Yeah.
I I could be wrong about this. I think the Constitution specifies that like the first job of Congress is to basically figure out how the Supreme Court is going to be structured. And so all of that is just in US code. It's not actually written into the Constitution. And you're right that for time it was like 6 or 8 or something. It was an even number,
Yeah.
and it has been an even number before for periods of time when one of the judges died and they didn't replace them immediately. The construct that it has to be 9 is like relatively modern. Like I think it's relatively 20th century, and
Yeah. I
we
just
can do
fact checked
whatever
it.
we.
And I was going to say, I just fact checked it, and it did start with 6 judges in 1789. And then,
Yeah,
but you're right. It like a lot of things have changed. Even like the first Supreme Court Chief Justice, like, judicial review technically wasn't a thing until he made it a thing. So, like, really, it
right.
was like the first court kind of with some famous cases and some interesting
Yep.
process evolutions kind of created the court as we know it. And, again, everything's in flux. And that's something that I wish more people appreciated, because Thomas Jefferson himself thought the Constitution should be rewritten like every generation, which for him was like
Yeah.
19 or 20 years or something like that. And, we've only had 27 amendments, and, we were the first democracy. So our Constitution and government system's really, really good at that time. But there's been 200
Right.
years of evolution of democracy,
Shenanigans. Yeah.
proportional power sharing, parliamentarian, developments, things like that like our country kind of missed because we don't change the Constitution very often.
Yeah, the best idea that I heard for Supreme Court reform is actually from Cliff Schecter over at Blue Ant Media, and he proposed 27, right? 27 Supreme Court justices, which sounds crazy, but when you think about it, what he's saying is we could have 3 Supreme Courts each, right? And the spin that I put on it is and we should rotate them like every 2 years, right? Like there's 27 judges, and every 2 years we do like a random pick to see who's on Supreme Court A and B and C, and you don't know which Supreme Court your case is going to go to. Like maybe it goes to the
Oh,
B
yeah.
group.
Just like completely randomizing it repeatedly, just as
Right.
like a kind of a safeguard against corruption.
Right. Like you don't know which justices are going to be impaneled on the court that you go to, and so you can't do that thing where you're like, oh well, I'm writing it this way so that Judge Alito rules this way and Thomas rules this way, and whatever. You're basically like, no, I don't know which Supreme Court is going to actually be reviewing my case, so it just needs to be correct.
Yeah, definitely some interesting ideas to reform the Supreme Court because yeah, it's I read a whole book once. It was talking about like all the ways that like America's government is really unique, and chief among them is the lifetime appointments of the judges. I don't think any
Yep.
other country has lifetime
Right.
appointments, and
Oh
then of
yeah.
course they're
Term
picked by
limits
a
for sure.
president. Yeah,
Yeah.
like the fact that they're picked by the president, obviously, like the entire makeup of the court can swing. Like, we're lucky somebody hasn't just killed five judges in one day or something to allow like a president to
Honestly, like,
appoint five
I
judges
mean,
or something.
knock on wood, that
Right.
that seems like a thing that could be very 2026.
Yeah, and it gets to the point now when like Scalia died, immediately conspiracy theories that Obama killed him or liberals killed him, Democrats killed
Right.
him. So like when and plus it makes the entire legal system totally dependent on random whims, like one election and a few untimely deaths can wildly change the makeup of the court. So
Yep.
there's a lot of bad incentives of like again killing the judges, screwing with one election to it's just kind of a giant mess when you think about it.
It really is. Yeah. And I term limits for sure. I keep coming back to 18 years, right? Like that's three Senate terms. In 18 years, you could be on the Supreme Court. You could do a lot of great work. You could really
Yeah,
influence democracy and whatever. But then you're done, right? Because nobody needs to be 80. Sorry, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Nobody needs to be 80 and have
yeah,
pancreatic cancer and not
yeah.
step down. Like that is just insanity.
And that's what's annoying too is like we kind of talking about like the leftists that have kind of fucked liberals and Democrats because they
Yeah.
never want to vote for Democrats because Democrats are too centrist and too corporate elitist. And so like the whole thing about the Supreme Court where like so many liberals sat out the election because they didn't care that if a Democrat wasn't able to pick the next Supreme Court judge and then Trump won and then Trump has picked three judges and so like that's something that Republicans are always better at like the partisan, like dirty political tricks and things like that. But like
Yeah.
leftists, like never miss the opportunity to fuck Democrats and then get 0% of what they want because Democrats aren't willing to give 100% of what they want. And like Jill Stein gets 2% of the vote every election.
Dude,
And, Trump's victories are less than 2%. I'm
I
so
was
angry
just
about
gonna
that.
say, like 2 weeks ago, I saw Nina Turner join Substack and Jill Stein's name popped up out of nowhere, like some story about Jill Stein. I was like, oh, right. It's almost a crucial midterm season. Now we're going to get
Yeah,
all of the
right.
wackadoodle leftists
Uh-huh.
who, are always anti Democrat. They're always blaming the Democrats for things that are actually the Republicans' faults. And when you look into these people, it's always like, oh, huh, it is a little bit weird that she went to that fancy dinner for Vladimir Putin right before she helped fuck up the
Yeah, right.
election for Hillary. So yeah, like we need to brace ourselves that the crazy left wing people are going to show up out of nowhere and suddenly start telling us, I don't know. T. Thomas Lewis says, "Why am I listening to this neoliberal bullshit?" You don't have to. You could go.
Well,
In
it's like
fact, you know what,
I'm a
Thomas,
big
I'm going to help
believer.
you out. I'm going to block your motherfucking ass. Bye, Thomas. Blocked.
I like I like to ignore. I like to, it's like I get a lot of like comments, especially from like Republicans that just like comment on every one of my posts, and I kind of love ignoring it, and especially like the longer of the comment they write that I don't read and ignore completely. But it's like I will die on this hill that all politics is downstream of winning elections, right? If Democrats do not win elections, they cannot help gay people, trans people, Palestinians, Gazans. They can't help anybody. You have to
Yeah.
win an election. And so I will die on the hill that leftist, team killing liberals and then having Republicans pick the Supreme Court justices, filling out the EPA, the DOJ, the FBI with crazy lunatics who are not liberal at all and don't give a fuck about protecting rights and things like that. And so, like, this puts me into the kind of like Ezra Klein, I guess, wing of the party of just, if you don't win elections, you don't get anything. You don't help anybody. So if you lose elections because people don't want to vote for the party that they are closer aligned to because that party is not perfect enough, you will not protect anybody. So you are self-defeating your own goals because you are letting good or okay be the enemy, or sorry, you're letting what, perfect, what's that
Perfect
phrase?
be the
Perfect be the
enemy of the
enemy of the
good.
good or whatever.
Yep.
And so,
Yep.
I will die on that hill is just right now, 4 years of Trump because people didn't want to vote for Kamala because she wasn't going to do enough for Gaza. What did you get with Trump? Gaza is completely flattened.
It's
Netanyahu, up until
gone.
this dumb Iran war, has had a free, long open leash to do whatever. And then these people are still going to like Kamala Harris's book events and protesting for Gaza. A woman who has been out of politics for a year and a half now has no power, and they're protesting her and not Trump. They're going to
Right.
protest the entire Democratic primary in 2028, and they are going to make it hell on the issue of Gaza. And it's like
Right.
they're not going to
If
vote
you
for
want to
Democrats
help
anyway, and they're going to make a
Palestinians,
giant stink.
if you want to help Palestinians, you could do a thing right now. You could insist that Trump use his power and influence with Bibi Netanyahu to get the settlers out of the West Bank so that Palestine could have an actual contiguous territory where they could actually have a state where they could welcome the refugees. But you're not
Right.
doing that. If you're going to an event and you're yelling at Democrats right now,
Yeah.
and you're
Yeah.
not using that power to get Trump to influence Netanyahu, then you don't actually care. You are just
Yeah. Right.
performative.
And there's a lot of Democrats I don't like. I think they're idiots. I think they're beholden to special interests. I think they're betraying, their
Chuck Schumer.
kind of what's that?
It said Chuck Schumer.
Yeah, right. But it's like I would rather have Chuck Schumer than like the pillow guy,
Oh
in
yeah, for
Congress.
sure. If my choice is fuck, I don't even remember his name. What was his name? Mike Lindell. If it was Mike Lindell
Yeah,
versus Chuck Schumer, yes, I'm going to pick Chuck Schumer. Do I want Chuck Schumer? No, I want somebody way fucking better than Chuck Schumer. I
right.
want AOC to run against Chuck Schumer, win, and then she gets in and she becomes the Senate Majority Leader. Like that's what I want. But I'm not going to actually fuck over the Democrats to make that happen if the Democrats are the only ones who have any chance of making things even a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, like literally, it's the sausage making of politics in those back rooms, in the actual voting of Congress, the jockeying for positions and votes and lobbyists and things like that. It is not pretty. However, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, one person is, even if you think it's just a lip service, is not going to fuck over all these groups of people you pretend it, or you say you care about, right? So she might not do everything for them, but again, it's like getting to the 75-yard line instead of going to your own 1-yard line with Donald Trump, right? Like, I don't know. I can rant forever about that. But anyway,
Yeah.
number three scandal.
All right. All right.
We're getting some great conversations off of these. But number three is just Donald Trump's slush fund, because I don't think that's dead yet. I think, Todd Blanche said that it was dead and not going anywhere. However, I'm sure Trump was already paying people off. I'm sure. And, I have this theory that he's not even doing it I don't think he gives a fuck about the January Sixers. I think he's lumping them in for like the political aspect of it, for the kind of public facade of it. I have a theory that this slush fund is to pay off everybody that was complicit in the Epstein sex trafficking ring, to pay them to not cooperate with Democrats when they take at least the House next year, right? I think he's going to basically just bribe all these people. Don't say a fucking word. Like a lot of people saw Trump with the kids at Epstein's mansion, at the parties. I'm
Yeah.
still not convinced that Trump himself isn't like the ringleader over Epstein, right? Because Trump obviously always had the political ambitions, always had the international networks, always had these weird, creepy relations with Russian oligarchs. And like he's been constantly accused of money laundering through, all these overpriced, giant luxury real estate deals that he does,
Yep.
right? It's obviously money laundering. So, but anyway, so the three. What's your favorite ongoing scandal? the Trump slush fund, Cash Patel slush fund at the FBI, or the Situation Room meetings and the dripping details of Epstein files that's
I
still
mean,
coming.
I'm still gonna vote for Situation Room, right? Like I just think that one probably has the opportunity to have the biggest impact,
Yeah,
and that is that's what I'm going for, right? Like I want that to be the thing that finally fucking pulls down this absolute catastrophe. And I think you're right with the slush fund. I mean, first of all, the fact that it's literally $1.776 billion. Are you fucking kidding me? Oh yeah,
it's just
somebody just said, don't
pandering
forget about
for like. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
somebody just said, don't forget about Mark Wayne Mullen and
Oh
Kratom,
yeah,
right? Or Kratom, however you pronounce it. Like, yeah, like, oh, it turns out that he's actually pushing this drug that has weird opioid components to it. Interesting, interesting. I think you're. I mean, what I want more than anything is when the Trump thing is over and after we've torn down the ballroom and saged the land, I I want the biggest forensic accounting like deep dive that has ever occurred in human history. Like I want fucking Price Waterhouse Coopers and like all the big accounting firms. I want them to go in and audit everything. And I know this isn't going to happen, so don't yell at me in the chat. But what I want is I want to know how much they have been paying themselves. And I think in
yeah.
some cases, it's just gone. Like the money's just gone. We're never going to see it again.
Yeah.
But
I will be
yeah,
like many. I'll have like many kind of like it's obviously not single issue if I have many of them. But for the 2028 primary, like I do not think any Democrat should get even a single vote in the primary if they are not saying or if they're not totally committing to tell all the people that we need to just turn the page and move on. Like fuck
right.
that. Like I'm with you. We need to investigate everything. I said this recently that. In every single congressional office and like courtroom or whatever, or DOJ office or whatever, they should put up a picture of like one of those honey badgers like fighting like a giant python snake or something. Like that
Yeah,
is what we need to do. We need to like Trump is going after all his enemies with all this trumped up BS crap. And like he's really committing serious crimes. And so like we need to claw back all the money they stole. We need to end all the dumb contracts Trump has signed for his cronies or his kids, right? Like the drone deal that Eric and Don
right,
Jr.
right.
are involved in, like that is we're getting that money back, you know?
Right. I'm 100% with you. But what also needs to happen with that is the minute, and it's going to literally be like 1 minute after all of that starts, someone is going to go on Fox News and be like, but this is all politically driven. And
Yeah.
we should be like, yes, and
Yeah.
crime
You're damn
and
right it
criminally
is.
driven. Like,
Yeah.
yes, it is because these
Right.
politicians committed crimes. And so we're investigating them and shut the fuck up until we're done. Like, because the minute that any accountability starts to be applied, it's going to be like, this isn't fair. Yeah, well, then you should not have crimed. That's
Yeah.
all. That's all that it
If you
comes
don't want to
down
do the
to.
time, don't do the crime. Right.
Right. Right.
Yeah. All right. I think that was oh yeah, one more thing and then I'll let you
Okay,
go.
then I've
But
got one more thing for you. So you ask
okay,
me,
yeah,
and then
that's
I'm
fine. That's fair. I absolutely love the story of Eric Trump apparently getting busted at the UFC fight, trying to rig a fight. What were your thoughts on that? I fucking love that, and it's so funny. They make so much money from all this grifting, and he's for like it's the classic Trump thing to rig something and to cheat. Like they don't make any of their money unless they're cheating. But the idea that
yeah,
it's his dad's birthday, it's ostensibly a national come together moment for the 250th anniversary. He's like, hey
right,
man, you got any insider trade? And I love how he's like, I'll cut, like the guy's just kind of like shooting small talk via text because he didn't expect to be contacted by, he doesn't know Eric Trump. And then Eric's
right.
just like, I'll cut to the chase. Like, do you know of anyone taking a dive or anything? I love
I
that
mean,
story.
again, could anything be more emblematic of the Trump administration? Like his sons are literally committing crimes as
Yeah.
they are doing a thing that's ostensibly about celebrating the birth of the country. Like, come on. Like they are so deeply corrupt, bad human beings that it doesn't even cross their mind not to commit a crime in
Yeah.
public.
And
You
he was
know?
so cavalier about it. Like, he's doing that with like every company right now. I'm sure he's probably texting like Tim Cook or whatever, like just any company he can. Like this is not a one off, the one time Eric Trump tried
Right.
to get involved
Right.
in rigging some kind of bet on the economy or sports or whatever.
Right. Yeah, for sure. You know, he was like contacting Satya Nadella and Tim Cook, and he was like, "Hey, Microsoft, Apple, you know what my dad wants for his 80th birthday? He wants a giant
Yeah.
piece of gold. He
Yeah.
wants a
Oh,
giant
by the way,
gold
you know of any
statue."
military drone companies that needs another board member?
Right. Right. Yeah, I'm totally looking for another gig. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Here's my thing for you, Dash. The movie Disclosure Day. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't. Have you?
Oh, yes. Yes. And
Do you recommend it?
I do. I
Okay.
highly recommend. So, I mean, I'm a big sci-fi fan. I'm a big Spielberg fan. Uh, I loved it. It's 2.5 hours. It was a great ride the entire time. I didn't feel like 2.5 hours, and uh, I thought it was really well done. I thought the acting was great, and it's a story about us finally being told the truth from our government that aliens are real. Like that felt like such and it ends up coming across as so fucking Epstein encoded, that you watch it and you're just like, oh my God, yes. What if there were these giant secrets and files full of secrets and the government just actually told us the truth? What would that be like?
Yeah.
By the way, I'm
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
giving anything away. It's pretty clear from the from all the advertisements that that's literally the entire
Right.
story of the movie.
Is it streaming anywhere or is it just in theaters right now?
No, it's in theaters right now. It's
Okay.
probably a couple months away from streaming because it's one of those,
Okay, gotcha.
big push in IMAX. Like I think they want everyone in the theater first.
Yeah.
But highly recommend. Uh, Josh O'Connor is great. Emily Blunt is like, I know that actresses don't often get awarded Oscars for science fiction films. I'm really sort of hoping that she gets some kind of nomination because I found her like luminous and like eyes untakeoffable. Like she was magnificent, I thought.
Nice. Yeah. Would you
I
recommend
was a
seeing it
little
in theaters?
high
Like,
as well.
okay, hey, there you go. Makes it better experience. Do you
Yeah.
recommend seeing it in theaters because of the action aspects of it?
I mean, I feel like stuff like that is, it was made to be shown on a big screen, right? And I feel like
Yeah.
for a movie like that, it is definitely better when you get to, um, see it kind of in its intended environment and you've got the good sound system. And I don't
Yeah.
know. I really enjoy that. Weirdly, so, I'm in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and I went on opening day to a matinee and I thought that I would have to fight for a ticket. I was like one of five people in the IMAX theater. It was weirdly empty, which
Oh, yeah.
might mean, yeah, I don't, take any meaning from that, but I really liked it. Um, so yeah,
Yeah. Well, I'll check that out. I saw Bugonia recently. Do you see that movie?
I've heard about this. I've heard
The
about
one
it
with
and I
Emma
need to watch
Stone
it.
and getting
Yes,
abducted. That was pretty
I've
good. It was
heard.
entertaining, but the director's kind of an interesting Greek guy that's got like a real interesting like
Right.
number of
It's,
films behind him.
what's his name?
It's like
Lanthimos?
Lamping or something. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. But
Yeah, he and Emma Stone have been doing a lot of work together because they did. Oh my God, what was the movie where she was a baby in a woman's body?
oh, right, right. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Uh, and that was, I mean, that was a little too magical realism for me. A little
Yeah. Well,
farcical.
that's definitely his
Uh,
style.
but it is his style for sure. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I love that they're kind of like each other's muses. That really seems to be a cool working relationship that they've got.
Yeah. Yeah. Good partnership.
Georgios Lanthimos is his name.
Yeah, right. Yorgos, good Greek name. Well, that's all I got. Anything you want to plug for yourself?
Man,
While you got some attention here?
I gotta get back to work, but this has been a blast.
Yeah,
Anytime you want to talk politics and political-ish things, I would love it. I'm gonna continue looking at Halfway Cafe every day and being like, is that one real?
yeah.
There's a piece of me, Dash, that still believes that some percentage of the things that you post are actual real headlines because you're so good at doing the like fucked up laughability of reality right now under the Trump administration.
Yeah, and I think that probably 10 to 25% of the things I write are literally true. Just no one actually said it, but like everyone's thinking it, or it's
Right,
like it hasn't been reported yet, but they definitely do that kind of thing. And then
right,
like probably another 25 to 30% of the things I write are things that I want to encourage to become real. And so
right,
like I'm trying to like manifest good ideas, especially like the ones of like protests or different ways to troll the Trump administration. And again, this is a pet subject of mine too. Is just like all these Democrats that refuse to get rid of the ban on stock trades, and they're so rich. Like, why? Like, I have this dream where like Nancy Pelosi would be like, "I'm old as shit. I'm going to stop caring about stocks, and I'm going to just spend all my money to pay like a room. I'm going to like build a room where I'll have 100 extremely sassy gay men, extremely nihilistic Gen Z, terminally online people that hate everything, the bitchiest people that you know, and then just in like a bunch of comedians, put them all in a room, and I will pay them like $1,000 a day to just troll and create viral media every single day. And Democrats suck at politics so hard, and that's the
right,
thing that Republicans are good at. They're terrible at policy, morals, ideological consistency, but they get the kind of bumper slogan style of social media control that manipulates public opinion and convinces people that they're not all crazy asshole liars that are in a personality cult of a demagogue trying to become a dictator. Right? It's like they're
for
they're so
sure.
good at the
I'm with you.
appearances. Yeah. But like
Yeah,
I don't know why they don't do. It's like you look at all these conservative commentators and you find out, oh yeah, Tim Pool was getting like 50 grand a week to do like 3 posts. All of
right.
them. It's like that Ashley St. Clair girl or whatever that was with Elon Musk. She's saying like all the conservative commentators and pundits, they all get like paid by Republican groups or super PACs
That
and things like that.
that's that's real, right? Like you look at
Yeah,
Substack, the other side of Substack, the Republican, MAGA side of Substack, and you're like, how are these people so successful? It's partly because they're literal like Republican apparatus, right? Like
yeah,
organizations and like Senate campaign
right.
offices that pay them money.
And gives them
Like
daily talking point sheets.
right. Like, I'm not saying the Democrats should be corrupt, but Jesus Christ, like, how about you start creating a network of liberal voices out here that could actually
Yeah.
compete? I love your
Well,
idea. I'm in, and I
even when they
volunteer to be
started
one of
doing
the
that, like,
sassy gay men.
yeah, yeah, right. Because it's like I have a lot of gay friends, and like they're so fucking funny. It's like, why not put a room of the? It's like there's so many viral things you could do. It's like I don't know. I guess I could rant forever about that. But even when Democrats try to
No,
do the thing we're talking about, like what's her name, Taylor something, the one that's terminally online, still wears a mask, and like, do you know who I'm talking about? Taylor Lorenz. I
oh
don't know.
yeah,
Anyway,
yeah, okay,
but like it's like they had some like more liberal pundits like getting paid by some group, but then if it's like it's that dynamic where all these liberals started shitting on them for taking money as if they were like being too or they're not like real messengers or whatever. They're just paid mouthpieces. But it's like I don't know. You need like the Democratic Party
right.
should be paying some people to get the message
It's
out. I don't know.
absolutely it's the thing with which the left hangs itself every time is the
Yeah.
like holier than thou.
Right.
Yeah, yep,
And on that note, I guess I will say I am willing to take money from the DNC. It's
right.
like
Me
I write
too.
whatever I want anyway. I'm not going to change my style, but I will gladly take money to just keep
Yeah.
doing it and maybe have more hours to sit at home writing my insane
I mean,
data
hey, it could
news.
happen. Substack is rolling out sponsorships, right? So
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if any
But
companies want to associate their brands with me constantly talking about Trump shitting himself, I am open. My
hey,
wallet
it
is open.
depends.
Yeah, it depends, right? Yeah. All right. Well, good to talk to you. I'll let you go. Let's
You
do this
too,
again
Dash.
sometime. I'm trying to do more podcasts coming up, and I've got a pretty light work schedule this summer, so I'm trying to do more podcasts. So I'll let
Awesome.
you
I
up
love
again
it.
soon. Yeah,
Yeah,
good to
this was a
talk to
fun
you.
time. Thanks. Take
Yeah.
care.
Thanks
Bye,
everybody for
everybody.
listening to Brain Milk. Talk to you later. See you next time.